Okay, I'm going to take it one step further. Here's my profit function that I came up with in the previous video. And let's say they ask me, find two values of X that will create a profit of $50. Now, keep in mind, my profit is right here. And they're saying that we'll create a profit of $50. That means I have to take this $50 and plug it in right here. So this is going to become 50 equals negative 0.5x squared plus 40x minus 300. Now, this is a quadratic equation, and the reason I know it is a quadratic equation is because I have an x squared in my equation, or my highest exponent is an x squared. And that means there's going to be two values of x. If that had been an x cubed, there would have been three values of x. If that had been an x to the fourth, there'd be four values, whatever your highest x is. If this had only had an x to the first, there'd only be one answer for x. But this is going to give me two. It says find two values of x that will create a profit of $50. So put the 50 where the p is. You now have a quadratic equation. Step one to solving any quadratic is make sure that it's set equal to 0. So I'm going to have to subtract this 50 over. Because 50 minus 50 cancels, and bam, there is the 0. Now, once you set it equal to 0, you can either try to factor it or just use the quadratic formula. Negative 300 minus another 50 is a negative 350. But it is my professional opinion that whether you factor or use the quadratic formula, it is easier to do it when your x squared is positive. Right now my x squared is negative. Also, it is easier to do it when your x squared is a positive 1. So if you can, get rid of the negative and the coefficient of 0.5. And of course, the only way to do that is to divide it off. So I'm going to divide by negative 0.5. But what you do to one side, you have to do to the entire side and to the other side. I have to divide everybody on the right by a negative 0.5. And then what I did to that side, I do to the other side, divide everybody on the left by a negative 0.5. And the beauty of this is 0 divided by anything, that's just 0. Over here, those cancel. I'm left with a positive x squared. A positive 40 divided by a negative 0.5 will make it a negative 80x. And a negative divided by a negative makes it a positive. And then 350 divided by 0.5 is 700. Now, you can either try to factor this or use a quadratic formula. And actually, this one, I believe, factors. Yep, I need two factors of 700 that add up to 80, and I saw it right off the bat. 70 times 10. 70 times 10 is 700, and 70 plus 10 adds up to 80. Of course, they'll both have to be negatives to get a negative 80. So, first times first, my x squared, that's x and x. And then I'm going to have one of these is a negative 70, and the other one's a negative 10. Okay? Now, since they're both set equal to 0, in order to solve this, there is this old saying that says, if A times B is equal to a 0, then either A is equal to 0 or the B is equal to 0. If you multiply two things together and your answer is 0, one of those two things has to be 0 to get an answer of 0. And when I look at this problem down here, I'm seeing an x minus 70. That's acting like the A, and the x minus 10 is acting like the B. If A times B equals 0, then one of them has to be 0. So that means either the x minus 70 is equal to 0 or the x minus 10 is equal to 0. And I just solve each one of those. Let's see, to solve this for x, I would add 70 to both sides. Cancels out there. And I get x is equal to 70. And over here, I would add 10 to both sides. Cancels out. And x is equal to 10. So, whether they make 70 pizzas or only 10, that will give them this profit of $50. Now you're probably thinking, what? Well, this is a quadratic equation, and I don't know if anybody remembers this or not, but if you were to graph this on an XY axis, here's X and here's Y, and you look at this equation, go back up here, he's blue, I have a negative 0.5x squared. When you have a negative x squared, it's a parabola is going to be upside down. Quadratic equations graphs look like this. They're called parabolas. If it's negative, it's upside down. If it's positive, it looks like this. If it's positive, it looks like a smiley face. If it's negative, it looks like a frowny face. Get it? Positive x squared, negative x squared. Anyway, on the y-axis, this is where your profit would be, and you're looking at a profit right here of 50. There's two spots where you're going to hit 50. When you go up, you hit 50 right here. It keeps going up, and then it comes back down, and you hit 50 right there. This would be at 10 pizzas, and this would be at 70. All right, that's basically what you're doing. You're getting two values. So, and that explains that portion.